large, sparsely populated island of Cape Breton in Canada has some of the most gorgeous sights on the planet. The beautiful shoreline provides front-row seats to the fantastic view of the Atlantic Ocean. At the same time, the pine, fir, and deciduous trees loom over the extensive low-growing bushes and flowers inland. With the diverse array of flora on the island comes the many animals that make it their home. Small creatures like foxes, lynx, hares, and the bigger ones like black bears and moose roam the area. Unfortunately, tragedy found a way to rear its ugly head amidst the alluring Nova Scotian wilderness. On October 27, 2009, 19-year-old folk singer Taylor Mitchell was mauled to death by coyotes, marking the first known fatal attack in Canada. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. Let's dive deep into the unfortunate case of Taylor Mitchell. Welcome to Final Affliction. The eastern coyotes in Cape Breton Highlands National Park are larger than their ancestors. This is because as the creatures migrated from the southwestern United States to Nova Scotia in the early 20th century, they interbred with wolves in Ontario and Quebec. Since then, the genetic heritage has been retained and the creatures have become more robust, similar to medium-sized German shepherds. Although they are opportunistic creatures, coyotes are formidable hunters. They can stalk and kill even the sturdiest moose thanks to their effectively formed packs and high intelligence. Additionally, they are highly adaptable and very curious. This allowed them to live near human settlements, scrounging for any available food sources. With that said, coyotes naturally fear humans and will avoid them most of the time. But if that's the case, how do you explain the attack? Coyote attacks are incredibly rare. However, they do happen. In many cases, encounters occur because the people fed the coyotes or were rescuing their free-roaming pets from an attack. Moreover, the presence of pups in the area may elevate the negative behaviors of these creatures. Nevertheless, there are some unusual cases when coyotes stalk and hunt a person, as is the case of Taylor Mitchell. Taylor Mitchell was an up-and-coming folk musician in Toronto, Ontario. At only 19 years old and fresh out of high school, she had made a name for herself in the Canadian folk music scene. Once she realized her immense passion for music, Taylor dove into songwriting and performed her songs in various venues around the country. Success found Taylor and she embraced it fully, signing a record deal with Back Road Tavern Productions. In 2009, she released her first album, For Your Consideration, which received positive reviews. This release was accompanied by a solo tour of Eastern Canada, something Taylor was excited about after recently acquiring a license and a car. On October 28th, Taylor was scheduled to play a show in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. However, she arrived 2 days early. With a lot of extra time on her hands, Taylor decided to hike in Cape Breton Highlands National Park, one of the most stunning spots on the island. It was a sunny afternoon at the park. Taylor was an environmentalist who had always loved nature walks. Hence, the intoxicating beauty of the area was a welcoming distraction amidst her busy schedule. The dozens of hiking trails and the 93,000 hectares of land were madly inviting. Taylor started walking through Skyline Trail, one of the most popular ones on the island. Looping across the Gulf of St. Lawrence and returning near the entrance, nothing could be more ideal for Taylor. Although many people visit the trail because of its gentle slope and fresh air, others take the opportunity to watch wild animals in their natural habitat. Taylor wanted to do both. She was excited at the prospect of seeing beautiful wildlife, but at the same time she wanted to take a break from the hustle of touring. At around 2:30 p.m., Taylor left her car in the parking lot and headed up an access road. This led to a clearing where the Skyline Trail began. Approximately 15 minutes into her walk, she passed by a couple walking in the opposite direction. Unfortunately, this was the last time Taylor was seen unscathed. As they headed further down the access road, the couple spotted two large coyotes heading in the opposite direction. One of the hikers photographed them. Shortly after, they noticed something unsettling. They heard loud cries in the distance. However, they couldn't tell if it came from a human or an animal. If given enough distance, a loud coyote howling sounds eerily like a human's cry. The couple was disturbed by this, so they rushed towards the parking lot and called 911 from an emergency phone. At around 3:15 p.m., the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were alerted, and immediately an ambulance was dispatched to the scene. Meanwhile, the coyotes had caught up with Taylor through the access road. The creatures growled fiercely, half-charging at her in an attempt to make her run. This is typical predator behavior, as running down a frightened animal usually allows the hunters to bite the legs and the rear of the prey. The two coyotes didn't see Taylor as human. They saw her as prey that day. Finally succumbing to terror, Taylor retreated towards the trailhead, accidentally dropping her items along the trail. While she screamed for help, Taylor took out a small pocket knife in an attempt to fend off her attackers. However, the coyotes were in hunt mode. They pierced her down, biting her legs and fingers as she desperately swung at them. Taylor was no match for a coyote, let alone two of them. The coyotes managed to push Taylor back deep into the trail and onto the top of a hill. Unfortunately, she tripped and fell, prompting the coyotes to attack full on. The ferocious beast tore at her clothes, biting her head and legs, and continued doing so until she was severely wounded. Taylor desperately ran towards the bathroom, her own blood trailing behind her. She panicked as she tried to open the bathroom door while the relentless attacks continued. Not able to gain entry, she ran towards the trees where she finally fell down from blood loss and injuries. Taylor was alone and helpless, and the coyotes took advantage of this. Meanwhile, back at the access road, a group of hikers saw Taylor's belongings and knew something was wrong. They headed up the trail and found her camera, so they started yelling out, but to no avail. Heading to the end of the clearing, they noticed blood and extra clothing. They also noticed the bathroom door was smeared in blood. Going around the corner, they saw Taylor, and a lone coyote standing over her. The hikers charged at the coyote in an attempt to save Taylor. However, the creature showed no fear and was even aggressive towards them. The hikers attempted again, and finally, the coyote ran away, but only a short distance. It stood still a few meters away, growling in anger at the hikers. Taylor was conscious and spoke to her rescuers, but she was in critical condition. There were multiple bites on her head and legs, and tears on her flesh were bleeding profusely. Finally, an officer from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police arrived and fired a shotgun at the animal, effectively driving it off. The officer didn't finish the animal, as he initially believed Taylor was attacked by a bear. Taylor was immediately transported to the hospital, but despite the doctor's best efforts to save her life, Taylor's injuries were too much. She died from blood loss shortly after. In an effort to comprehend what happened, multiple speculations sprung up on why Taylor was attacked. Some theorized Taylor accidentally approached a coyote den, provoking the attack. Meanwhile, some thought Taylor might have tried feeding the creatures. However, none of these suggestions were proven, prompting officials to reassess the dangers these creatures posed to humans in the park. Consequently, the rogue coyote had to be hunted down and the wardens began their search. Surprisingly, Taylor's mother didn't want that to happen. She claimed Taylor, being an environmentalist, wouldn't have wanted the death of the coyotes. We take a calculated risk when spending time in nature's fold. It's the wildlife's terrain, Taylor's mother said in a statement after the attack. Nevertheless, an aggressive female coyote had to be shot down after acting aggressively. This was followed by 3 more, including a large male near the Skyline Trail. Afterward, a thorough investigation revealed that 3 of the coyotes were involved in the attack, evidenced by Taylor's blood on their fur coats. Moreover, the large male coyote was the alpha photographed previously near the access road and was the one standing over Taylor when she was found. This was evidenced by the shotgun pellets on the animal's coat, fired by the officer from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The aggressive female and large male may have been a pair, and the other coyotes were their packmates. Later, around November 2009, a coyote approached a couple close enough that the man was able to hit it with a stick on the head. Additionally, 10 months after Taylor's attack, a 16-year-old girl was bitten on the head during a camping trip with her parents. This was very unusual coyote behavior, as they were generally seen as fearful of humans. However, experts weighing in on the issue stated that coyotes always lived close to humans. They were just undetected. Culling of the general coyote population was suggested. Still, experts opposed this, saying it wouldn't have any lasting effect as the creatures multiply tremendously quickly. One female coyote can give birth to 7 or more pups. Ultimately, Nova Scotia declared a $20 bounty on coyotes. However, this didn't apply to the park. Taylor's mother went on to establish the Taylor Mitchell Legacy Trust. This organization promotes community outreach for music and other art forms and educates people on habitat preservation. Although she met a tragic fate, Taylor was a beautiful soul who felt deeply passionate about music and the environment. The way Taylor's mother acted after the attack speaks volumes about how deeply she and her family understood the nature of nature. She may be gone from this world, but Taylor's beautiful music continues to live on despite the tragic and unfortunate story of her final affliction.